the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. In the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this special edition of the Elite FPL podcast, where not only is it myself, Stevo, I'm also joined by, of course, Dan. Good evening, Dan.
Good evening, Stevo. How are you, mate? You getting on good?
I'm very well, my friend. I'm just glad that everything is all restarting again. Let's be honest here, we've had about 2 months off. And all of a sudden, it's all full force into the Gameweek 26 again. But I want to get something off our chest, so to speak. And I want to just mention a certain individual's birthday, who it is. Up on screen at the moment is the Daily Llama. Yep, the Daily Llama is up on screen right now. It is his birthday. And in ode of this, I have poured myself a shot of vodka, Dan. There we are. That is vodka, by the way. I know Jason always seems to think that it's water, but I can tell you now, this is vodka. So I'm going to have a shot of vodka to say happy birthday to Daily Llama. Blimey. And I'd like to think that everybody would like to wish Daily Llama a happy birthday as well. Obviously, a very popular member of our community. And Dan, of course, Daily Llama. Bloody hell, that's that's burnt my mouth off. Daily Llama, of course, somebody that's been with us since the start.
Yeah, great support of the channel. Happy birthday, Llama. I'll get some Bovril. I'll have a cup of that for you later on in your honour. But yeah, no, he's obviously been here since the start, and obviously with the Elite FPL Champions League, did a brilliant job setting that all up, coming up with that idea and putting it all together. And just a great friend and guest on the show, and really wish him a happy birthday.
Yeah, and of course, it's another day, isn't it, Dan? It's Valentine's Day. Did you receive anything?
Stevo, where's my card, mate?
Well, interestingly enough, I received 2 Valentine's gifts today. I received a bag of chocolates from, let's name and shame them, Maria. And and one from Morgan. Now, Morgan gave me a card. For anybody looking in HD, it's super gay and mega horny. I'm not going to read what specifically is inside, but I can read part of the message that he put. Roses are red, violets are blue. You have a nice, let's just say nice bum, and me too. Unfortunately, I can't read the rest of that particular poem because it's a bit rude. And he also gave me a little teddy bear, probably the best thing I've ever got. So that can go along with the elf as well. So the teddy bear there, and of course, I'm going to be giving a present to somebody there, Mr. Teddy Bear. There, I'll be giving that to them tomorrow. It is a female, so you don't need to worry about my persuasions, shall we say.
I think that shot of vodka's gone to your head, mate. I mean, I'm getting a bit jealous here. Like, what have I got for Valentine's Day? Just a wet, windy day in Torpain. Yeah, I'll have to have another ginger tea to console myself. I'm not even joking.
Yes, so we're all here to discuss the upcoming games. We did do a preview. Myself did a breakfast show preview. And this will make everybody laugh as well. It's the classic thing of Steve-O, you said that you'd be doing breakfast shows on a regular basis, and I haven't been able to do one this week. I can't do one next week. It's just, unfortunately, it's the way my shifts have come in. So there's definitely not going to be a breakfast show for a while. There is a small chance, a very, very small chance, that there may be one next week, Saturday. That's next week, Saturday. So what would be really interesting, Dan, if I was to do a breakfast show for the guys in Australia on a Saturday? What do you reckon?
Sounds like a great idea, actually. Yeah, particularly with like the build up to the deadline and everything. And I mean, I've been in the Discord. Was it last weekend or the weekend before? Probably when everyone's talking about their teams and people are like panicking, doing transfers late, and I think it's a really good idea. So,
like I said, this evening's pod is going to be from myself and Dan. We're just going to be looking over tonight's game at last, a game for us to actually cover. Unfortunately, Jason can't do a stream tonight, but he will be joining us tomorrow when we cover Norwich versus Liverpool. Also, myself and Dan will be looking over his team, Arsenal, at home to Newcastle. We, of course, have got Southampton, Burnley, and like aforementioned, Norwich, Liverpool, and of course Aston Villa versus Spurs. So quite a few games that we can cover, and we'll probably delve into Chelsea, Man U, and of course the rearranged match between Man City and West Ham. But just bear with us, folks. We've got all night, not literally, but you know what I mean. A bit more admin, just for a bit of fun. We all know the guy. If you don't, it's Dre Zera. If you're unaware, he purchased this beautiful top here. And it was, and I've pressed the wrong button. Look at that, everybody. He posted that on Twitter at Elite FPL. He purchased that t-shirt at the website, elitefpl.com. So if you want to get that shirt, by all means, go into the website and purchase it, elitefpl.com. I'm definitely getting one. I've already spoke to Jason about sending me one. I'll be turning that into a vest like I've done here. And Dre Zera, if you are watching, can you name the band on my shirt? It's pretty easy actually to read this one, but I'm sure you'll be able to hopefully name that a band there.
Is it NSYNC?
You mentioned NSYNC. I was actually listening to the XFN radio show with Ricky Gervais, Steve and Carl, and they were talking about NSYNC. It was actually one of the clues to the question for Rockbusters, Mr. Reed, if you're watching. But let's say good evening to a few people. And by the way, if anybody wants to come live on air, I know James Bang is here. If anybody wants to come live on air to discuss the upcoming fixtures, then by all means, please do. And we will be more than happy to speak to you guys. So good evening to Salt Zayed, Cy Bellamy, Anish, James. I've just mentioned there, Mr. Anderson. I heard you on what do you call it, Planet FPL a few seconds ago, and getting one of your questions answered. Oh, here we go. This is going to be testing my my European pronunciations here. Masaj Pastuska. Hi all. Good evening. Gravy Dave's here. Paulie's here. Another Hoops. VAR. Blimey, I haven't seen VAR for a very long time. Show Me the Mane. Vince Chapman. Nasty Balls. Of course, the Daily Llama's here. And there are many, many others that are joining us live right now. I really do appreciate everybody joining us. And a lot of people just wishing Daily Llama a happy birthday. Like I said, Daily Llama, it's his birthday today. So happy birthday to him. So let's on. Here's Shano83, another one that was on the Planet FPL live stream earlier on. I'm looking forward to listening to the replay actually, because of course those guys are very good. Daily Pool, very good. Daily Pool's one of the few people that actually understands what I'm talking about. He fell in a puddle in Texas. Wet knee Houston. Brilliant. Mr. Reed, we've got a fan. Blimey, Julius is here. Evening, Julius. But yeah, of course, Planet FPL are doing their, live show tomorrow. And Dan, you're a big advocate of Elite FPL doing that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it just, when everyone's following their team and all the action, and it's just, like I always say, like seeing that live reaction when, Danny Ings gets a brace tomorrow, that'll be me screaming up at the telly and that, and seeing your reaction, and and fair play to Planet FPL. As I said, they always do really good content, really enjoy their stuff on SoundCloud, and now they're doing lives. It's going to be really good.
I want to bring up, I'll ask you the question while I'm trying to find it here, and it's this: Are you enjoying the fact that the Premier League's back? Basically, it's been seems like an eternity since it was the last games were played. Obviously, it was on Sunday, and you did a live stream with Jason. How has it felt this particular week?
Do you know what, Steve-O? Like, the thing is, last weekend annoyed me, even though there's only a few games, in terms of like being an FPL manager. The fact that Lundstrom obviously got a goal and I'd taken him out, even though he didn't start the game, and Everton didn't keep a clean sheet, so Davies done nothing for me. So I know I mentioned this on the stream and you were like quite puzzled as to why I mentioned it, but like I watched the highlights of AC Milan Inter Milan, and it was a was a brilliant game, absolutely brilliant game, and it was kind of nice to watch a game of football that was very entertaining, but not worry about your assets or any FPL scores. Because as much as I keep saying, "Oh, I don't care," it's hard, you know. It's hard not to care when you put an effort into something. And yeah, I mean, I'm really, like Leicester Wolves. I'm looking forward to that. I am looking forward to watching Arsenal play and just enjoying the games. But it's also nice sometimes to have a little bit of a break, enjoy watching games from other leagues and like some of the cup games as well. And yeah, just having a bit of a change, really.
I'm about to play something that you were part of during Jason's wedding, and it was really a wonderful moment. You know what it is? Let's get it on. Let's get it on the big screen and let's play this fantastic moment. You all know what it is, everybody. This is the Daily Llama, and everybody that's a huge fan of the show. It really does bring everybody together. Like Phil said, there'll be 40 of us all doing this. I love that bit. Dan, of course, you were part of that incredible moment. Do you want to just tell us about how that all came about? It was, for anybody that doesn't have a clue what's going on here, that was at Jason's wedding a few weeks back when he married his long-term partner, Mel. And yeah, tell us about your emotions going through it, because for me, it really does. I've said this before, but it really does say what this Elite FPL community is about. I mean, admittedly, this is with 3 of close friends of yours, but the point we're standing is that what a wonderful moment.
Yeah, so I've always said, I think I've said this to Jason and yourself before, that I always wanted to hear Eyes in the Sky on a night out, either in a club or a pub, and just dance to it. And obviously Jason was doing the round, speaking to everyone on the different tables, and came over to chat to me and Si. And I said, look, do you reckon you could get this song on? And we were sort of like, oh, I don't know, it's a bit of an obscure track. But then Jason went off, and he didn't. And he sort of went off, and he spoke to the DJ, and came back, and he was like, guys, we've got it on. And we were like, wow, okay. And as soon as he started playing it, I just can't, because whenever I hear that song, it's always like, it is the proper, Elite FPL anthem, and it always, it just makes me happy. And I just really like the song anyway, and I never get bored of it, and it kind of excites me. I get this boneheaded optimism that I'm going to have a really great weekend of FPL before it all comes crashing down. But it just, it's iconic, really. And as soon as a song, as you can see from the video, as soon as a song was playing, because Simon and I weren't drinking, so we were there, and they were playing lots of other songs, and we weren't really getting on the dance floor. But as soon as that went on, I was like, right, we've got to get out for this. And it was just so much fun. As you can see in the video, it was just one of those moments where you kind of lose yourself in the moment, and everybody was looking at us as if we were mental, because nobody else knew the song apart from Pete. And, all the other songs they were playing, everyone knew them. And it was just everyone was just looking at us like, were these guys in a band or something? Or were they what's this all about? And it was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, James Bang making a funny point there. Well, I say funny point, he's being serious, but he said that he'll be more than happy to fly from wherever he is in the world to join us. And you mean get on your private jet, James? We've got someone here, Mr. Anderson, making the point that he'll be in Japan for around a week at the end of February. What on earth's going on? What on earth is going on here? All our friends.
When you say Mr. Anderson, I just keep thinking of the Matrix films. Sorry, I just can't.
Well, Ryan 0605. A good evening, Ray Joyce. He's saying 0-0 is going to be perfect tonight. You said you're going to be looking forward to tonight's game between Wolves and Leicester. I think that Wolves are going to win this 2-1. I just think that they're the masters of the counter attack and everything, and they seem to enjoy playing teams like Leicester. Although ironically, Leicester kind of playing a kind of similar style. Although at the moment Leicester's form is just, let's be honest here, it's terrible. Your thoughts on tonight's game and why you're looking forward to it?
Well, I mean, last season it was 4-3 to Wolves. It was one of the games of the season, and yeah, two teams of great attacking players. Do you know what? Another reason I'm probably looking forward to it as well is I've got no players playing, so I'm not going to be. Although you could look at that another way, but yeah, at least I'm not going to be stressed out about that. But I think I fancy a high scoring draw in this game actually, and I would go for 2-2. But yeah, I just think there's some great players. You know, I'm sure Traore will turn up after not turning up for me for 5 game weeks, and he'll do his Cristiano Ronaldo impression and he'll get a double-digit haul or something. Be interesting to see how Maddison plays after all this talk in the tabloids about him being a guy in his early 20s, single and enjoying himself on a 2-week break. Load of nonsense in my opinion. So yeah, I think it'll be like end to end, and like you said, Wolves are quite good at the counter attack. And I tell you, the guy to watch out for as well is Jimenez, and that's one I'm thinking. You know, one of those players you wish you owned. It is Jimenez.
Well, there's quite a few people, our man Dylan in chat and various others, actually thinking that Jimenez is going to get a hat-trick tonight. Are you that optimistic for him, or do you think that it's a bit too far?
I think it's a bit far. I mean, I know Leicester have been on poor form recently, but I feel like with this break that, you know, maybe they're going to like regroup together. Yeah, Leicester have had a really good season so far. It's just they've had these. It does feel like ever since they lost to Liverpool, if you remember, over the Christmas period, that was kind of like, wow.
The Trent show.
Well, yeah, I had him at the time as well. I mean, like, it was just. I think Leicester in that up to that game had a belief that maybe they could challenge Liverpool, and then Liverpool were like, they slapped them up 4-0, and it was kind of like, oh, you know, it really took the wind out of their sails. But I think I just, you know, if you're going to give me a free bet, I'll go for the draw. But I do fancy Jimenez to get some returns tonight. Maybe not a hat trick.
Well, Amand Dylan is thinking. I mean, again, it's extremely optimistic, but he's thinking 3-0. Do you think Armand Dillon's mad, or do you think he's onto something?
Yeah, Armand Dillon's mad. I've spoke to him before. Yeah, he's absolutely mad. I don't think it'll be that comprehensive for either team, really. I do think they're quite evenly matched teams, despite Leicester's form, as we keep saying. So, you know, they're not too far away from each other in the table, and it was a close game last season as well. You've got to factor that in. So, you never know. Aman, you could prove me wrong, but yeah, I'm going to stick to what I say, a draw, a score draw.
It's funny, Paul E making a point here. Our man is near the top of the cash league, so he's probably right. Now, obviously, he's saying that a bit tongue-in-cheek and kind of the comment isn't too serious. But it's funny because, ironically, predictions for me, which is something I'm pretty good at, hasn't helped me at all this season. What about you, Dan? I mean, you're not doing that much better than me.
Steve-o, I'm in it's dire straits. I mean, if there was a fan TV channel for my FPL team, then they'd just be all screaming "bull out." You know, it's been terrible. It's been worst season I've had for a few years now. And but you know, I've won a couple of football bets this season, as you know, and I'm pretty good with predictions. Really, I don't know. You just like the way I look at it is I do predictions in my head, whenever I'm looking on football websites or watching stream. But then that almost feels set. I get into a separate mindset when I'm doing my team, and I just think about fixtures and form going forward and prices and differentials. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you just kind of like we're doing these predictions now, and I'm just thinking of the games, and then I'll go on the FPL app, and then I'll just start thinking, like Redmond's a differential. Look at those fixtures coming forward. I'm almost looking too much into the future.
No, absolutely. So, obviously, you're watching the game tonight. And as you stated before, that you see a bit like, there's no bit like with me at all. It is through FPL eyes, you'll be watching this thinking, oh, God, what are you fearing at most tonight? Will it be Jimenez getting a goal, Jimenez getting a double-digit haul, Traore coming in and getting a couple of assists and a goal maybe? What is your ultimate fear? Maybe even Doherty coming out from nowhere?
I think, like players that you've previously owned and kind of had the faith with and kept on to them for so long would be annoying. I mean, Maddison and Pereira, the team above me, has both of those players. So that's definitely a concern. Traore's one as well. Another team in and around me. So your mate, Mr. Reed, has got Jimenez as well. So actually looking at it, I need... and obviously Vardy as well, who I seem to have just completely forgot about since I took him out for Aubameyang a few game weeks ago. That could be worry as well, because it could be a case of taking him out too early.
Another one to throw in the hat is Harvey Barnes. Somebody that's been performing, from a FPL point of view, but also a real life point of view, doing really, really well here. And Julius making the point, he's saying that he reckons it will be 2-2 Leicester, Jimenez, Doherty, Barnes, and Vardy. Is Jamie Vardy? Is Harvey Barnes someone that's on your radar?
I've put, as I say, we'll probably look at my team in a bit, but I've kind of put my stock in, Redmond at the moment because he's in that kind of price bracket. But yeah, when I've seen Leicester play this season, Harvey Barnes has always looked threatening, and he's sort of getting a few returns. Obviously, last season it was a case of all the underlying stats that you love so much. He's getting in the right positions, not converting the chances, but now he seems to be getting more confidence. And yeah, it's a good shout, actually. He could be a nice little differential in there because he does tend to get in those attacking positions.
Yeah, so that's tonight's game, Wolves versus Leicester. So, as I stated about what seems like an eternity now, I'm thinking it's going to be 2-1 to Wolves. And Dan, just a quick reminder, you're thinking it's going to be a draw tonight, yeah?
Yeah, I'm stick with that. Either 1-1 or 2-2, but yeah, 2-2 I'll go with.
So we move on to the tomorrow's fixtures, spread literally from one end of the day to the other. It's the early kickoff. It's between Southampton and Burnley. I'm actually quite optimistic for this particular fixture, and we'll get onto it in a second. There's a chance that it could be called off due to Storm Dennis the Menace.
Oh my days!
It's a load of I'm not allowed to swear, but a load of nonsense, isn't it, Dan? It's going to go ahead, isn't it? Along with Norwich.
Yeah, I would hope so. I'm sick of these storms like getting in the way of the FPL, action. It's just, come on, let's get on with it. Let's have a game of football in the wet and wind and goals galore. I'd be annoyed if that game was cancelled tomorrow because obviously I've got Redmond, as I mentioned. I've got Danny Ings still in my team, and ever since I brought Ings in, he's not returned anything. So I'm hoping, no offence to you, but I'm hoping that he can score against his former club, as players seem to do quite often. And also hoping that Redmond can take his... Yeah, and I'm hoping that Redmond can take his FA Cup form into, the Premier League, so to speak. Because he got a couple of goals in the Cup.
What on earth made you get Redmond? Because when you told us this live on your show the other day with Jason, I spat my vodka out, so to speak. Just an absolute waste of space. From a real life perspective, he does well, but from an FPL perspective, absolutely pants. I'm surprised you didn't go with someone maybe a bit more of a punt like Armstrong or something.
No, I mean, the thing is, he's got the fixtures coming up. Obviously, Burnley at home, Villa at home, West Ham away, Newcastle at home, and then Norwich away. So the fixtures are good for him. And based on what I saw of him in the cup game against Tottenham, he played really well in that game, and he played well. Well, he had some good bits of play away to Liverpool. I know they lost, but against Palace in game week 24, he got 13 points, got an assist, bonus points in that game as well. So it's at the end of the day, Steve, it's a differential. He's only owned by 1.2% of managers. I'm at that stage now where I just saw it, as I said, and I just thought, you know what, let's just go for it. It's a differential. I need to rise up in the league. I need to take gambles, calculate gambles. Let's see how he does. I mean, it might not pay off, but if it does pay off, then it'll help my rank. I mean, I'm just hoping that with this good run of fixtures of Southampton, he can be a part of that.
One of your nemesis, Vince Chapman, is thinking it's going to be 3-0 to Saints, Mr. Anderson 2-1 to Southampton. Julius thinking it's going to be 0-0, Youssef 3-2 Burnley, and I'm going in that direction. 3-2, a high-scoring possible game. Morning, Geordie Kev. I've said this to everybody. If anybody wants to come live on air with myself and Dan, by all means, you're more than welcome to. Statman, if you want to come on, by all means. Statman's thinking it's going to be 2-0 to Southampton. I just personally think that, I keep stating this, is that barring the odd anomaly, i.e. Aston Villa when they beat us at home, when we play our rivals, we just set up like a brick wall and we just seem to be able to hit teams on the counter. And I just think that that's what's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to be this horrible game where Southampton are going to try and get through us, but they can't, and we'll hit on the break. And you know what? Talking of teams going back to their old clubs, you've got Danny Ings against Burnley. He's bound to score. Jay Rodriguez going back to Southampton again. I think that he could score tomorrow. I keep saying this from if you want to go with a punt for that blank game week coming up, is it 31 or something like that? I can't remember now, but whatever. Jay Rodriguez, Chris Wood is the safety bet. Ashley Barnes is just about getting fit, but Rodriguez has done absolutely nothing wrong, and I'd like to think that Dyche will stick with him. In fact, if anybody wants to know what I think you should go with as a triple up for Burnley, if you're willing to do that in this blank fixture, whatever's happening here, I would go with Rodriguez as a punt, and then I'd go with Nick Pope and Tarkowski, or certainly two defenders and an attacker, either Wood or Rodriguez. Like I said, Wood for safety. But no, Dan, I think that we could beat Southampton, and my basic understanding is that we have an okay record against Southampton. It's usually quite, like I said, it's usually like 2-1 kind of game. So hopefully we should do that. But it's 12:30 in the morning. The weather could be terrible. It could end up being an absolute terrible game, a terrible draw, 1-1. But let's be honest here. We move on to the evening kickoff, which is Norwich versus Liverpool. There's a lot of talk again. You spoke to Jason about this briefly. Will Salah start? Will he come on as a sub towards the end of the game because his wife's just had a child? Your thoughts on that for starters? Do you think that Mo Salah will start or not?
I think he will. And I think he'll score. I mean, I've got him as captain. It could be wishful thinking. They've had a rest. I mean, obviously there was a cup game the week before. They played the under-23s and they still won the play. So they've had their rest. And then what I think could happen, but the thing is as well, obviously Mane's back in now for this game. Norwich. They've got Atletico Madrid during the week. So maybe, Salah, Mane will start. And then obviously if Liverpool, as the game goes as we expect it to go, if they go 2 or 3 goals up, they'll take them off for the last 20, 30 minutes. That's what I anticipate happening. And I've obviously got double up of Liverpool defenders, which is quite risky again as well.
Is it risky though? I mean, they've got an outstanding defence. They've had about 6 or 7 clean sheets in a row.
Of course, Steve, but that's it. But I'm just, we're saying about rotation here, and maybe that's worrying me a bit. But when going back to the FA Cup game against Shrewsbury, the first game, and watching how Lovren got done by the Joker, they called him, the substitute that came on for and scored twice. I don't feel too worried. I think Gomez is going to play, so fingers crossed. I just feel with how my season's going, I feel a bit cursed. I feel, as soon as I got Ings in, he stopped scoring. As soon as I get Gomez in, I feel like Liverpool will just concede, like Pukki will get a goal, a consolation goal or something. It'd be like, I've put a lot of stock in it. But in terms of this game, I mean, Norwich have, obviously they beat Man City earlier on in the season, drew against Spurs, drew against Arsenal. They've had some good performances at Carrow Road, but Liverpool, they beat them 4-1 at Anfield, first game of the season. I'm going to say 3-0 to Liverpool.
I mean, the simple question is that are you actually looking forward to the game tomorrow evening? Myself and Jason are going to be covering the particular fixture. A lot of people are going to be captaining or have captained Salah, barring the fact that it's obviously been rearranged now. But a lot of people, if the City game wasn't going ahead, had Salah as vice captain. Is it really down for you the fact that you're just looking, quote unquote, forward to the fact that hoping to get that double clean sheet?
Oh, I hope so, Steve. I mean, if Salah doesn't play, I am absolutely screwed because I spent so much time deliberating about my captain.
I'm going to find it hilarious.
Oh, you will, because I've got Sadivia as Pfizer. I was just like, I said this to Jason last Sunday, like I've sort of given up. I mean, I did those transfers like a few weeks ago now. But I feel fairly confident that Salah will start. So, I'll look forward to the game as soon as I can, like, breathe easy and know if those players are starting, I can just have that nice sigh of relief. But if they're not, then, I mean, there was... I know I'm going back to last season, but there was a game away to Burnley last season where I think Salah got rested and I had him in my team. And then it was...
Yeah, and they won. They were winning 1-0 at half time or whatever it was, and it was again some random player. And then didn't Salah come on and it made it 3-0 and he scored the last goal or something like that?
Yeah, but that sounds about right. They sometimes do rotate it. I think there was another game where they rested Robertson and they brought in, I think it was Moreno, who's obviously left the club now. But so what I'm trying to say here is that Klopp has previously, no disrespect, but against the smaller teams that are lower in the league, rotated a little bit. I mean, they've got the squad to do that, and they're all fresh from the winter break, having rested the players for the cup games. So I'm just hoping that they'll play. But obviously, the Champions League game is the much tougher task, really.
Yeah, I've stated before that I think that Liverpool will win the Champions League this year. I just think they've got this winning mentality. I just don't think anybody is going to stop them. I just think they've got this aurora around them where no one seems to think that they can beat them, and I just think they're just washing everybody aside. I think that from Klopp's point of view, I think that until they've mathematically won the Premier League, he's going to play his strongest team possible. I think that what he's learnt is that just do not risk any players whatsoever. Even if they've got the slightest of niggle, I'm not going to risk you. Just rest, relax, and I'll bring you in for the game that I need you in. And you mentioned Mane. Klopp, thanks to somebody, I forget who it was, but I think it was Mr. Anderson, I think it was. But whoever it was said that Klopp has come out and said that Mane is fit to play. I'd like to think that Mane would start, but to be honest with you, really it wouldn't surprise me if Origi started ahead of Mane and he just played Origi, Firmino and Salah up front. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I mean, Origi, whenever he comes in, he seems to do really well. He scored a brilliant goal against Everton at home this season. Obviously, he's got the winner there in in that fixture last season as well. And we know that, away to Newcastle, he scored in the Champions League semi-final and final that he scored. So yeah, maybe if there is a doubt, he'll bring Origi in. And if memory serves me right, no, I'm pretty sure and says Origi did score in the reverse fixture at the start of the season. I think that was obviously when you guys did the 5-hour live stream, and that was a Friday evening kickoff.
Yeah.
Liverpool winning 4-1. And I'm 99% sure that Origi scored. If anyone in the chat can confirm that, would be great.
I think,
but
So, Godwin Affer, Chelsea Flyer saying yes, he did.
Yeah, so maybe Klopp will look at that and think, well, he did the business against them before. I can rest him for this very tough game against Atletico Madrid. Obviously, you talk about brick walls. I mean, yeah, they'll be putting up a brick wall when they play Liverpool on Tuesday. So, I think it's a possibility there.
Dan, I've got a proposition for you from Statman. Simply this, Dan, we are on the same points, and I believe we should have a cheeky side bet, essentially to see who finishes above each other. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, that's the only proposition I've got on Valentine's Day. It sums up my situation.
You've pulled, Dan.
I might as well just give him the money now. Just give us your PayPal details. I'll send you the money and save the humiliation. No, I'll be up for that for like a fun boy bet. I mean, I'm not gonna bet like serious money on it, but yeah, why not? Let's do it.
There we are, Kev.
Actually, message on the old Instagram if you want to follow that up.
There we are, Kev. Go on, give out the details of Instagram, Dan. Give it. Just give it a quick plug.
Of course. So at Elite FPL, Instagram, obviously, keep an eye on the stories. But yeah, if you just send the message across to there, and then we can and figure it out.
Absolutely brilliant. There we are. That's £1,000 bet. Put that.
Whoa! Hold on there, Pedro.
Kev's agreeing on that, so there we are there. So we move on to Sunday, and we've got your team rival kicking off the day at 2:00, I believe. It's Spurs versus they're away at Aston Villa, and I didn't actually ask. I actually predicted Norwich to where is it here? I believe Liverpool will win 3-0. What do you think the score will be? Sorry.
4-0. No, 3-0 to Liverpool. 3-0.
We're both going 3-0. So yeah, we move on to Aston Villa versus Spurs. It's the 2:00 kickoff on Sunday, and I was listening to Planet FPL today when they did their Clash of the Correspondents, and they were all thinking it's going to be a draw. I was quite surprised. James thinking it'd be a draw. Ricky Saunders thinking it'd be a draw. Adam Hopcroft thinking it'd be a draw. Such was the only one that stuck his neck on the line, would you believe, and thought that Spurs will edge this out 2-1. I'm thinking exactly the same here. In fact, Spurs' form of late. I was speaking to Charlie, and good evening, Charlie. I know you're there. I made this point to him that whenever Spurs have won over the last 10 or so game weeks, it's been by a scoreline of just 2-1. That's what I think this game will be. I think it'll be quite an open one, and I think they'll just edge this one out again. I'm hoping Jack Grealish actually does something. Of course, there was transfer speculation last year, I think maybe even this year, in the summer, of Jack Grealish maybe potentially going to Spurs. Nothing came to fruition because I don't think Spurs were willing to cough up the money. But Dan, no Harry Kane, he's been out. Son seems to be, just about getting the goals and everything. But really, Spurs flattering to deceive under Mourinho.
Yeah, I mean, they have, since he took over, they have kind of gone up the league, and they got through in the cup game against Southampton, but there was kind of a few creaks there showing out, and I just think, I don't know, Villa, I mean, obviously they've got to the League Cup final and done well there, beating Leicester, but I just think Tottenham will win, unfortunately, and I got a feeling Son's going to return as well. I'm gonna go 2-1 to Tottenham.
Gravy Dave 1-1. Cameron 2-2. Chelsea Flyer 1-1. The Don 3-2. Vince Chapman saying he's kind of almost like got a crystal ball here. He's saying 2-1 to Villa. Grealish masterclass and a wonder goal. Godwin making the point here. Spurs can't defend. Both teams will score. I mean, are there any, apart from Son, have you thought about potentially looking at this Bergwijn? Got a cracking goal against Man City, or is he just one to monitor at the moment?
I think he's one to monitor. I mean, he's a very skillful player, very quick. Got that great goal against Man City. Showed a bit of skill and trickery against Southampton as well, and has come with a good reputation. I think, like I said before, there's going to be a lot of people in cash mini leagues wanting to get up the table. And at this business end of the season, it's time to start taking a calculated gamble / risk on players like that.
About Mora.
About Mora. I mean, the thing with Mora is, I know I keep referring to the cup game, but that's the most recent game, obviously, and he did score a really good goal in that game. But he's like, when I watch Mora, he kind of runs into a lot of blind alleys and seems to try to do it all on his own. But having said that, he can explode. You know, if we refer back to the Champions League semi-final when he got the hat trick away to Ajax, and he just has these games where he bursts. And I think it was at home to either Bournemouth or Huddersfield. I'm sure Boona would be able to confirm this, when Mora got a few goals and he double-digit haul, when he can have these games where he just explodes. So yeah, I suppose another one, but it's just when I've had him in before, he's kind of done nothing for me. So obviously Kane's not there at the moment. He's more a focal point of the team. Once again, as I said before, if people are looking for differentials, it's not a bad shout considering, this fixture where I think Tottenham will get a few goals.
Now, most important game for you. Arsenal. Arsenal at home to Newcastle. And Dan, I think this is going to be absolutely terrible. Of course, Statman will be very confident that they could get a draw. In fact, I think I went with a tight game. Yes, I did. I'm going 1-0 to you lot. Just this game is it's going to be terrible. You guys you got that. I say you got that, but 0-0 against us. I think that is terrible. I said this to, I think I said either to you privately or I said it on the stream. I think I said it on the stream that says more about you lot than it does about us. So yeah, take it away, Dan. It's your lot, Arsenal versus Newcastle. Your thoughts ahead of this particular fixture?
Yeah, it's that particular game started well, and then Burnley edged the game, and it's just a lack of creativity. And it seems that let's be honest here, Arteta's taken over and he's got a lot to do. This season, the league is a write-off. We're not going to make the top 4. We're not going to get relegated, like Charlie was saying. So it's just been the thing where Lacazette's been off form. Ceballos is out of favour. There's some really weird conspiracy theories that Ceballos said something about Catalan or Basque. He said something that could have offended Arteta, but I think that's one of those wild conspiracy theories. But it's just been a lack of creativity, and Pepe seems to be in and out the team. I do think we will get over the line in this game. I know Newcastle they've had some really good results recently, but I just feel, it'll be a tight game. It was 1-0 in the reverse fixture at the start of the season. I'm hoping Aubameyang can haul, because obviously I've got him in my team and I've placed a lot of stock in him as well, considering his value. So I'm going to be ultra positive here. I'm going to go 2-0 to Arsenal.
You actually think you're going to score a goal?
Yeah, I'm going to score 2, Steve-O.
Everybody.
Ultra positive.
Everybody is, always asking the question about Martinelli, and he's somebody that I now wish I got in instead of Greenwood. I keep saying this. Is he worth bringing in, Dan? As that 4.56, whatever he is, backup.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, against Burnley, he was kind of like out in the wing, and he wasn't really having the opportunities like he had in previous games. But I think, some other Arsenal fans have been saying maybe Lacazette should be dropped, and Martinelli's been in great form this season before then. And at that price bracket, I mean, myself, I've had Greenwood for what feels like an eternity. At that price bracket, as an enabler, as a playing enabler in form, why not give him a go, really? I think, say if you've got like a free transfer or whatever, or a couple of free transfers, I should say, I think it's worth a go because he has looked really sharp. Even when Aubameyang was out of the team, he did score against Sheffield United. And yeah, he's worth, like I said, once again, it adds to the list of players that are worth giving a go if you kind of want to get up your league and take a gamble.
No, absolutely. And talking of trying to get up the league, and let's talk about real life football here, so to speak, which is rather than the mini league is what I'm trying to get on about. I'm talking about the Premier League, which is Chelsea versus United. And this is I just want to read a piece actually from my favourite football website, Football 365. And I just want to read this piece just quickly about this particular fixture, and quite simply goes like this. United could find themselves choking on the dust in the wacky races chase for fourth place should they lose to Chelsea on Monday night. Defeat would leave them possibly in ninth and 9 points off the Champions League spot. So defeat really isn't an option for the sun-tanned United squad that are not only boosted by some vitamin D after a week in Spain, but also the arrival of Bruno Fernandes and Igalo. But their recent league form makes for grim reading. Of their last three, they failed to win or even score in 2 defeats and a draw. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer really needs to hope the sun continues to shine on him back in London. At least his opposition is a similarly raw manager with a similarly flawed squad in a similar vein of form. Chelsea too are winless in 3, drawing a couple after losing at Newcastle. Kepa was the most obvious scapegoat for the 5 goals shipped in that period, but it's evident that Frank Lampard does not know his best 11 yet. Lampard must also decide how to play this one. He attacked United at Old Trafford on the opening day of the season, and Chelsea got picked off 4 times on the counter-attack. While the expectation is to take the initiative, Lampard is not so stubborn that he would risk making the same mistakes again, just because the onus is on the Blues to attack. So it could be a cagey affair settled by an error. There's plenty in either side, or a set piece. That being true, it could play into Chelsea's hands. Only Villa and Everton have conceded more than the 10 goals United have shipped from set plays, while Chelsea have themselves bagged 8. The point being of that piece, essentially, is this. Is who is going to go for it, basically? Or do you think, Dan, this is going to be a tight affair? I think I went with a 2-1 victory to United because they love to play these traditional top 6 teams, or in this case, certainly in Chelsea's case, a 4th spot team.
Yeah, I mean, they've obviously beaten Chelsea twice this season, 2-1 in the League Cup, and then obviously 4-0 on the first game of the season. That first game of the season seems like a long, long time ago when obviously Daniel James scored a goal and Martial scored and everything like that. And I think your thing with United is they've had some just patchy form, really. I mean, I don't need to tell anyone that beating, Spurs, beating Man City away. Beating Man City again. Obviously, I mentioned in the League Cup, although they lost the tie. So, yeah, I think it is kind of set up for United to sort of hit them on the counter-attack. One interesting thing for Chelsea is that they've got this Ziyech from Ajax coming in next season, and that.
Well, can I just stop
I'm
you there?
thinking ahead of myself.
I'm going to be honest here. I know nothing about him. Funny enough, when I was listening to briefly, and I'll be listening on the replay to Planet FPL's pod. Someone did ask James about him, and he just said that he looked like the best player on the pitch versus Tottenham. Tell the audience what you know about him, Dan, and your thoughts on this particular transfer, because I know nothing about him whatsoever.
I'm really jealous, to be honest with you, because Arsenal have been linked with him before, and he's just a very skillful player, very tricky winger, can score spectacular goals. Has done it in the Champions League, done it for Ajax in their Dutch division, and I think he'll be. He'll do really well next season for Chelsea, and because Pedro, Willian, they're both kind of getting on a little bit, so it's new blood. I don't know how this transfer's been announced, even though the transfer window's shut. I know it's next season that they're getting this player, but I do find that a bit strange. But yeah, definitely one to watch for next season. Very talented player. Possibly Willian, maybe. I think, and I mean Pulisic is another one that I had in an early draft at the start of the season, but it's not really been consistent this season, been in and out of the team and whatever. I mean, they seem to have a lot of wingers actually. When you think about Hudson-Odoi as well. So yeah, there's different players out there, but as I say, Pedro and Willian are kind of getting on a little bit. So maybe one of those two. I know Pedro doesn't start all the time nowadays, but yeah, I think and I'll predict that he's going to come in at 9 million. But I know we're thinking way ahead of ourselves here.
So finally, I didn't actually hear what your prediction was on Chelsea versus Man United.
I'm going to go for 2-1 to United.
2-1 to United, right? Okay, excellent. And I didn't realise that I muted myself. Well, I did know that I muted myself. I didn't realise that I muted myself when I asked you the question. But essentially, I was just asking Dan about this new player at Chelsea. But you would have heard his thoughts on that particular player. Now, finally, the match that we're all looking forward to, especially people like myself, it's the rearranged game. It's Man City against West Ham. It's on Wednesday. Dan, I said it the other day that I am pretty much desperate for Aguero to get me a minimum of 10 points, so a double-digit score for me. I really do need Aguero to turn up. But of course, this came slap bang where in the middle of, does Pep Guardiola send his players out on holiday or not? And he did. I believe some of the players have come back today. I really do hope that this is going to be, as certain individuals are saying here, 4-0, 5. I think I predicted, to be honest, I wish it happened on Sunday, because at least we know what we'd be dealing with. I mean, I predicted 4-0. I think the majority of people, when we had them on the show, was saying 4-0. People here, 4-0. The Don saying that. Youssef, 4-0. Our man Dylan saying 2-1 Man City. That's the maximum score. Interesting. Opus saying it could be a bloodbath, 5-0. Looking forward to this game, Dan?
Yeah, only because it just seems to have dragged on for so long, and there was this whole thing about, is it going to be in Gameweek 26? Going to be a blank the Man City players, but I'm just glad they've rearranged it for that date.
Do you know what I was going to say? Are you happy that it's gone ahead? Because me, from a selfish point of view, I was hoping it would be cancelled. I was hoping it would throw all the spanners in the works for everybody when they're planning for this, whatever blanks, double game weeks, triple game weeks, whatever rubbish they're coming out with. I was hoping that, finally, maybe some luck may swing my way and I could have, in my case, Aguero and Kevin De Bruyne for potentially a double game week coming up. Unfortunately, the FPL gods aren't on my side. They're only on Jason's. But, yeah. So you were really happy this has been rescheduled for this particular week?
Yeah, I was happy because I just want to get some returns from Mahrez. I'm really hoping that he's going to come good for this game. Another gamble in my team. So, and obviously De Bruyne, but most people seem to have De Bruyne. Although some of my mini league rivals don't, so that could be good if he gets some good returns there as well. And I think, yeah, I just think it'll be 3 or 4-0 really. I don't really hold out much hope for West Ham, I'm afraid. So yeah, it'll just be interesting to see who gets the goals because of course Man City lost the last game to Tottenham, which seems like about 2 years ago now with this break and these delayed fixtures. But yeah, they might have Laporte back playing. So yeah, I just think it'll be a straightforward, comprehensive win.
Do you this could be a bit of a strange question, but do you feel a bit sorry for myself where I don't want to keep going on about it, but I will because it's always interesting that someone like myself had captained Aguero for the Tottenham game. Lewis Kirkby at the time had captained him, and all we could hear was, Aguero's name constantly. Just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. Do you think that's just unlucky, or do you think, well, no, that's why you shouldn't have captained him? What are your thoughts on that whole process of from an FPL decision-making standpoint?
Yeah, I think it was GW that said like evaluate the decision, not the outcome. And Aguero has a good record against Spurs from memory, and in that particular game, Man City were dominating, and then obviously there was a sending off and penalty missed and everything. I just think it's unlucky, really. I think it's a good call. As I say, Man City were favourites to win that game. Tottenham had a few players missing, of course, but the sending off and everything else, and Tottenham managed to hang in there and then get a couple of good goals. And I just think it was unlucky. Sometimes you just got to look at things and think, well, I made that decision based on sound logic. On another day, Aguero would have got a couple of goals and it would have paid off, but it didn't. C'est la vie.
FPL Maestro is saying, me and you, Steve, only need Aguero to fire. I think he's saying this from an FPL bias point of view. He's saying 6-0 to Man City, Aguero hat-trick. I mean, I've already asked this about tonight's game, Jimenez. A lot of people, I think, from an FPL bias point of view, are thinking Jimenez is going to optimistically score really, really well. Are you optimistic that Aguero is going to do really, really well versus West Ham, or do you think it's just going to be another damp squid, so to speak?
No, I think he'll do well. I think he'll haul, and I think, yeah, I can see him getting a double-digit haul. I mean, West Ham's confidence is shot at the moment. Man City are going to really, because they've had this break as well, so they come fresh, and they've got their Champions League game against Real Madrid, of course. What a glamorous tie that will be. So I'd imagine players like Aguero will be thinking, look, I want to play against Madrid, so let's, use this game against West Ham to prove myself, because I want to be playing on that big stage. I mean, what a massive game that is in the context of Man City's season. So I feel sorry for G-Wiz already, man. That's all I can say.
We've got your team up on screen at the moment, and
oh, please don't.
Yeah, like you said you wanted to talk about it. What specifically do you want to talk about? Because I look at this team and you know what, it's not actually that bad, Dan, is it? Let's be honest here, it's not that bad. The glaring ones that stand out for me are people like Redmond.
You've really got it in for Redmond, haven't you?
Only from an FPL perspective. I mean, if I was to bring up his information up on screen this season, he's got 3 goals and 1 assist, and 1 goal and 1 assist came in that Crystal Palace away fixture. I just don't see him as an asset, Dan. And like I say, I think you'd have been better off getting someone like Ward-Prowse or Armstrong. But it's other picks like Maitland-Niles. I know you've already explained it, but yeah. Overall, Dan, just your season's just fallen flat on its face, hasn't it?
Yeah, like I said, the first few months of the season was good. Was doing quite well, and then there was you were saying about Aguero just then, and I look back at it. Mane as captain at home to Brighton did nothing. Sterling at home to Chelsea gets a goal disallowed because it was 0.1 millimeters offside when it was onside. Not that I'm bitter, but unfortunately, the kiss of death was, you say about Maitland-Niles, I took a -8. I blame you and Geordie Kev for encouraging me to take a -8, and I took out Traore and Calvert-Lewin, and Calvert-Lewin has been returning ever since I called him a BTEC boycott. So that was the killer punch. Unfortunately, that game week, Traore got a goal and an assist. Calvert-Lewin scored away to West Ham. Hudson-Odoi and Ings did nothing. And it's just been the way it's gone. And the thing is, the more your season goes wrong, you just become more and more desperate to take these kind of risks and sideways moves. And as I look at it, there was a doubt about Mane. Would he be back for the Norwich game and everything else? I mean, I'm with Redmond, like you say, it's just his recent form and what I've seen of him from the eye test, and I just thought, do you know what? They've got Villa, they've got Burnley, they've got Norwich coming up. Redmond is a key player for Southampton. If they're going to win these games, he's going to be involved, I'm thinking, based on what I've seen of him in recent games. So it is a bit of a punt, but let's see what happens. Mahrez, that's another guy. Sterling's injured at the moment. I'm hoping that he can do something against West Ham. Of recent, it's been a bit patchy. I know he did really well against Villa, Everton and Sheffield United. He had a good run there, 17 points, 5 points, 6 points. Of recent, not so prolific, but I'm hoping he can do something in that game. Double up on the Liverpool defence. As long as they play, that's going to pay off, particularly over the next few fixtures. They got Norwich, West Ham, Watford, Bournemouth. It's Liverpool, but just got to worry about rotation. Like I said, there's not a lot to play for, really. In terms of... I'm not too far off you, though, mate. I'm only 36 points off you. So if I could finish above you, I could say, well, I finished above Steve-O, but I don't know, the way the season's going.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
Well, we'll see. Hold on, we'll see, mate. You're not kicking me down yet. There's only 36 points, mate.
But those... if we look at... Here we go, everybody. All kicking off. Let's be honest, Dan, when we look at your team here, so our differentials are our goalkeepers, Foster versus Henderson. I'd like to think that I've got the better goalkeeper there, and from a safety point of view...
No way. Foster's a better keeper than Henderson.
Do you really mean that, or...?
Yeah, he's definitely a better keeper, but, Sheffield United are better defensive team, so I'm just being facetious at the moment, but I still think Foster's a good keeper.
Your double Liverpool defence, yeah, I really do like that. Sidibe, I've got Holgate. It's your midfield, which is your differentials really. Mahrez, Redmond and Fleck versus Grealish, Mane and somebody else who I forget. And up front, once again, Ings, Aubameyang versus Aguero, Ings and... Greenwood in my case. I'm going to have to look at my own team, to be honest with you.
Bring your team up. I'm just looking at your team. Your midfield is...
Oh, yes, yeah.
Your midfield is better than my midfield. Let's be honest. But, Aguero, his ceiling is higher than Aubameyang's, let's be honest. But I just think, once again, I'm placing my faith in Aubameyang that the fixture Newcastle, Everton, West Ham, Brighton away, Southampton away, Norwich at home. And he loves to batter these kind of middle to sort of, teams that are lower down in the table.
The rubbish teams, let's be honest, Dan.
Well, they're not. I know you seem to always have it in for Newcastle, but they're not rubbish. But, yeah, the teams that are a mid-table team, shall we say, flat track bully. So I'm hoping... Once again, it is that stage of the season, though, isn't it, where you're kind of relying on, and he's nailed on to start. So, yeah, we'll see about that. But your midfield's better. I think my defence is better than yours, but we'll see what happens.
I was looking at your.
We're going to be having a wager in a minute.
No. You really can send me the money. You may as well. But your game week history is quite literally take one step forward and 2 steps back, because since game week 12, where you were 445,000th, it's just quite literally been 1 green arrow followed by 2 reds.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What do you put that down to?
I mean, yeah.
That is quite extraordinary. The fact that literally you are 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
I feel like I'm always kind of chasing my tail. I tell myself every game week, I'll 1 more -4, and my team balance will be perfect. Of recent, there've been a lot of knee-jerk, panicky transfers, particularly in the midfield. It's funny you mentioned that. Like, I've had Moura in, I've had Tielemans in when Leicester had a good run of fixtures. I've had players that have under-delivered in midfield, really. A lot of it's down to captaincy choices as well. I mentioned Mane and Sterling. I won't go over that again, but I think, as I say, we all look at pivotal moments in our seasons. You know, a few game weeks ago, I took a -8. I bought in players that did basically nothing. Ings is still in there. Hudson-Odoi's gone. And although ironically, Hudson-Odoi did more for me in that short period, but that was the one that kind of was the killer, really. I mean, that when I saw Traore getting those returns and Calvert-Lewin getting those returns, I just felt sick. I was just like, I couldn't stomach it anymore. And from that point on, I was just like, this game is just killing me. So I've kind of just playing it like a PlayStation game now. Other consoles are available, but it is frustrating because it was going so well. As you say, up to game of 12, it was going quite well season, and I felt quite confident, really.
It's so weird to say, like, when you're talking literally live to over 100 people, like Francis Logan making the point, Steve, are you planning for game week 31? No. Because I know this sounds so weird to say, but I have nothing to play for. Like the cash, the top 4 places in the cash mini league, the elite one that we do, they're gone. Now I don't care how optimistic Phil is, and Phil, enjoy yourself tomorrow at Planet FPL and enjoy the journey and everything on your first class Virgin train to Manchester. But in all seriousness,
other train networks are available.
Yeah. Phil was very, very optimistic, catching 4th spot. And you're mad, Phil. There is no chance that... I mean, I looked at it the other day, and I think you've got to go down to something... I don't know specifically where it is, but you've got to go down to about 20th to have a very realistic chance of... Well, it's our man Dylan who's 4th at the moment. I mean, it's so tight at the top. I mean, you got Andrew Fong, Juggernauts, Mr. Anderson, who's here now, and our man Dylan. They've gone. Our man Dylan has got a 29-point lead as of the other game week, the other week. A 29-point gap ahead of Peppa Pig, as a simple example. That's as of now. Show me the Mane, it goes down to 30. So really it's down from Peppa Pig. I know Ray Joyce is here, he's still here. I think you'd have to go down to maybe 12th or 13th. Maybe Charlie, if he's still here. 17th, but it's so far now because it's because of the quality of player which is there. Do you really think these guys are going to mess it up? I know Sultan Saeed last year you made up 100 points. I know that, but I don't mean to be rude, but I don't know the quality of your opposition. I really don't. They may not have been up to the standards of these guys that are in the top 4. Now, obviously, I'm putting you in the category of somebody that could catch our man, or any number one of those top 4 places, but it's going to be so difficult. And for me personally, even though I have nothing to play for, I mean, the Torbay Elite one's going all right, but even that is just... Talking of the Torbay Elite, Dan, Jackson, he's murdered that, hasn't he?
Yeah, he was. I saw him a few months ago. As I said, he was very happy, and
almost
he has won the league.
He's 88 points clear of second spot. To give you that, that's 4.3 thousandth in the world. He's having a stormer, isn't he, Dan?
Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, obviously he got 1,540 points. As I said, he won the Cash Mini League. I think it's like 3 seasons ago now, and I look at his team now, and it just makes me sick. He's got Jimenez, Aubameyang, and Ings up front. Got Traore, Salah, and De Bruyne in midfield, and then he's doubled up Van Dijk, Alexander, Arnold, Stevens, 2 Stevens, one from Sheffield United, and one from Yeah. So when you look, I mean, and he's got Grealish and Cantwell
last week
on the bench. So it's just when you look at that squad, there's just so much balance in there, isn't there? Really, and fair play to Jack. He's doing very well.
Yeah, and the point in what I'm trying to get at is that I just love your line about not sabotaging your team. And people can come out with those lines of, well, if you don't care about playing, then why don't you just put in some random player? And it's not about that. You still have pride in doing well in the overall rankings. So I can't explain. Block FPL, if you're watching this now, get on air and explain the psychology behind this, because I can't explain how strange it is to say that I don't want to sabotage my team, but then continually say that I've got nothing to play for. Although, to be fair, Dan, in the Cash Mini League, in the Torbay Elite one, it's nowhere near as bad as the Elite FPL one, because the Elite FPL one, it doesn't matter about that. But for me, in the Torbay Elite one, I'm only 80 points off Cy Bellamy, who's 4th. And I have this feeling that I could potentially catch 4th spot in our Cash Mini League, because the past dictates that people like Dexter Roos, Darren Munday, Dale Bellamy, they all seem to just towards the end of the season start crashing down, and people like myself take advantage. So I think there is something to play for in that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've still got all your chips, haven't you?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think you've got a great chance, really. And you are someone that tends to do quite well, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the second half of the season, you seem to kind of creep up like you did last season. And if you've got all those chips and you can deploy them, in the right strategy, then you could do it. 80 points is nothing when you've got all the chips left. So I think there's a good chance. I think Mr. Bellamy might be looking over his shoulder a bit nervously now. So it is good when you're in a few different Cash Mini leagues. So at least that way you've got something to play for.
I've won a Manager of the Month award, so I'm happy with that. In fact,
yeah, I mean that's the idea with the cash prizes. I mean the quality and the standard in the Elite FPL Challenge League is just ridiculous. So I might as well have just chucked a tenner in the river because it's just insane. But obviously at the start of the season, you're all full of optimism. But yeah, there's 80 points is definitely catchable at this stage of the season.
Yeah, and I've just deliberately brought it up on screen. And good morning, Harbour Boy. I've deliberately brought on screen everybody just to blow some smoke up my backside. Look, I'm actually top of something. There is a Manager of the Month award. Celebrate with me, everybody. Hallelujah, I've won. I get to enter that for free next year. And talking of next year, Dan, you're very, very keen on this idea of breakfast versus evening streams, and the idea that I come up with of a team for the Southern Hemisphere fans versus the Northern Hemisphere fans. You're very keen on this idea, aren't you?
Yeah, I just think it's just that whole level of like competitiveness, and it's like it'll just up the banter levels even more, and it'll intensify the rivalry. It just makes it more fun, really, doesn't it? It's almost like this big elite FPL community, and you've got like a battle within that community almost between the northern and the southern hemisphere, and it just shows the like the scope of the channel and how big an audience it's got. And I just think I can say all these things till I'm blue in the face, but it'll just be a bit of fun as well, really. I think it'll certainly make for interesting viewing next season.
Manchester Reds, good evening. I was actually talking about you on the Planet FPL pod earlier on. I was saying about how hopefully, are you still going, Manchester Reds, to the Planet FPL meetup tomorrow? It'd be nice for you to go, because Phil and Brew are going as well, so it'd be cool to get the Elite FPL guys on. And I've just seen that you didn't put the bet on. It's probably a good thing, because my bets never come through. But he's just simply saying about the fact that would it be a possibility to raise the entry fee from £10 to £20. Essentially, it's quite simply this. Next year, just stay tuned to that, basically, because next year, myself and Jason, well, I personally am wanting to, this is for the cash mini league, so essentially we will be opening that up to anybody that's participated in the Elite FPL Cash Mini League this year, and then that's 90 people, and then I reckon we'll probably open up to a further 110, which is basically 200 people in the Cash Mini League. But like you said, Manchester Reds, will it stay at a tenner? That'll be all decided in the very near future. Our man Dylan making the point, how will you divide the northern southern teams? And of course Paul E saying that it might even be better if it was the UK versus the rest of the world. Again, it's all a bit of, Harshell making the point there, which teams would the Asians be in and stuff. Essentially, let's be brutally honest here, Dan. It's going to be the people that are able to join us on the breakfast shows, which is usually people that are in South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, somewhere in the Asian countries like Japan, as an example, China, and then the evening people are staying in the office. It's the UK, some of the European countries, and America.
Yes, yeah, of course. You can be from one hemisphere and watch the other hemisphere streams more often. It can be you can watch both, but I suppose certain people tune into certain shows, and the game the thing is, when you play like we do a local cash mini league, and then now you're doing like a global league, it just makes it even more interesting, like because people from different countries have a different perspective, and it just be great fun, like I say.
FPL Maestro asking me a very simple question. What's the best rank I've ever had? It was back in 2012, 2013, where I ended up 4,000th. So yeah, I've got I don't want to keep going on about this, but I've got a pattern forming, which is in a way bad, good, and then this season I'm going to be having a bad rank, which has been proven already. So yeah, I was expecting that. Block FPL actually asked the question when Jason joined him on his show, and simply asked who's going to come top out of you three, and I just said Jason, then it'd be me, then it'd be Dan. But
we'll see about that, mate. It's only 36 points. There's something to play for, There's something to play for.
Ain't nothing. Any other final business, Dan, that you want to get off your chest? Anything at all that you want to talk about?
Not that I can think of. I'm just glad when this game week 26 is over, because it's just dragged on for so bloody long. Looking forward to some good games. A bit worried about Jimenez and Son, Maddison maybe getting some returns, but Not particularly. I just, hoping that my differentials can pay off and hoping that everyone enjoys the football this weekend, really.
Yeah, so do I. I completely agree with you. And there was something I was going to say, but I've completely forgotten it. But what I will, a bit of shameless self-promoting here, but I actually read FPL Maestro's question initially as, what's been your best FPL stream this season? That's what I thought, and I was going to say it was the moment when Aguero got his hat-trick, and I went absolutely ape. I think that's been my... At the time, it wasn't my favourite moment, but when you watch it back, it is absolutely hilarious. Anyway, I think Dan summed it up perfectly there. I think that that concludes this evening's show. What I do want to say is that there is some good news for a lot of people that are into their technology, their gadgets and everything, is that I'm not going to specifically tell you what it is, but Jason's come up with something which I don't believe is public knowledge yet, but I'm sure when he's on tomorrow, I'd like to think that Jason will be revealing all, but Jason's come up with something which is... It's his job, isn't it, Dan? I don't want to say specifically what it is, but when it comes to the technology side of everything, he's the main man, isn't that right?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, the new graphics look really good, sharp, and yeah, definitely. I think it'll be quite exciting, this new development. But obviously, don't want to give away any spoilers, as they say.
Yeah. Wait for Jason to give everybody the cue, and that'll be it. Done. So yeah, like I said, tomorrow evening, myself and Jason will be covering the Norwich versus Liverpool game. That'll be 5:30 kickoff. Like me and Dan said, we think it'll be just quite a professional job. Other than that, all I can say is that enjoy tonight's game. I will not be watching it. I'll be fast asleep, but I'll be waking up and finding out exactly what has specifically happened. Other than that, I think I will be covering one of the games on Sunday. I don't even think I'll be doing that, to be honest with you, because it's only the Arsenal-Newcastle game. I don't really have any specific knowledge on that. And I think that, the Man City West Ham game I can't cover because I'm unavailable either. So hopefully Jason will be able to cover that. Gravy Dave make the point. Did you see James's stream for Planet FPL earlier? Yes, I was actually listening to it live for 15 minutes while I was driving the car, but I made a point that I'll be listening to it on the replay, as I always do, because it is, as you stated, excellent content, a very, very knowledgeable individual indeed. But yeah, it's of course their live show tomorrow, and I really do look forward to hearing about that from Phil and Broom. He may even do a review show. That'll be fun. But yeah, other than that, I'm just going to say the usual stuff of, do you know what? Stuff it. Dan, you can do the admin. Take it away.
Okay, so if you've enjoyed the show, please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't done that already. Sorry,
Dan.
Also,
sorry to interject. I want you actually to talk about this. The FPL. You've just reminded me. You're the man that tells me to make sure that I plug all this stuff, and I want you to plug it. It's the FCA's. It's the Football Content Award, whatever it's bloody called. It's about the award stuff now. I want you to tell the audience about why it's so important. Just basically say what you said in the voice message earlier on about why it's important to plug this award show.
Well, I mean, obviously yourself and Jason and the moderators, you're all putting in a lot of work behind the scenes, to improve the stream, and we've got this big Elite FPL community, and you guys deserve recognition for that. And I think, it'd be great if everyone here in the live chat now could commit to, voting and supporting the channel as much as they can, because it's only going to help you guys develop the channel even more, boost the profile of the channel, and bring new people to it as well, and just get the recognition you deserve for all the hard work you put in to developing this very unique community. And obviously, the channel is very interactive and gives people their say, and I think that deserves to be recognised. So just everybody watching this, whether it's on the replay or live now, just support the channel and vote and see it through, and share it on Twitter and social media and whatnot as well.
Yeah, I will interject you there because the reality is that thanks to Nimfria, obviously you know who Nimfria is, she tweeted out the other day about the fact that the Football Content Awards have announced that there'll be, as I've got it up on screen right now, they have announced the fact that they will be holding the ceremony at the new Tottenham Hotspur ground on the 21st of May. And Dan clearly doesn't want to come along, so that's his invite. I can't make a noise of it, but the point being is that it's being held there, and there's been no official news or anything regarding how on earth we get nominated, what on earth the protocol is regarding all this. But as Dan stated, we're going to get the ball rolling now. I'd rather get it on while we're speaking to 100 people, whatever, right now, and then for anybody watching on the replay. Oh, it'd be just amazing, Dan. It would be just absolutely fantastic if in our first year that we were just nominated.
Yes, I mean, obviously, fingers crossed on that one. I know there's some very stiff competition, some fantastic other content creators out there and channels that we all respect and love. And I mean, I did that in jest. Obviously, it's a good venue for the stadium. It's as much as you'll get out of me. But I mean, obviously, you've seen the stadium already. It's a fantastic stadium, and it would just be it'll be amazing. And I think you guys deserve it really, and hopefully it'll come through.
Yeah, it would be quite interesting. But I mean, Armand Dinnan, like I said, it's one of those where we don't know full details as of yet. Ace Adventura making the point, can you post the link? I mean, up on screen right now is the is the actual Twitter page itself. Once again, there's no point in me posting any link whatsoever because the fact that there has actually been nothing officially confirmed. But what I will put in the link is the fact that it is spelt like this, but for whatever reason in the search engine on Twitter, it doesn't really come up with anything. I've just posted in the chat there for anybody that wants to follow the particular page on Twitter. It's @the_F in all capitals FCA small letter S. So yeah, something of interest for the very near future of Elite FPL, hopefully. So yeah, Dan, I did interrupt you while you were doing the admin. Any final thoughts? Essentially, if you've enjoyed the stream, just simply hit the like button. And if you are completely brand new around here, I did notice that we had quite a few comments, Dan, of people just enjoying the show, enjoying the, as you stated, the content that we bring, and once again, the relaxed atmosphere.
Yes, definitely. Like, obviously, if you're new to the show, any constructive feedback for the guys, let them know. Obviously, if you enjoyed it as well, give it the old thumbs up. And yeah, you obviously on Twitter and Instagram @Elite FPL. Connect with the channel on those social media platforms, and just keep on showing your support. And thanks for having me on as ever.
Paul E making a point. I know that you're somebody that, you're using Discord now. Do you want to just, like Paul, he's holding a gun to my head. He's saying plug Discord. Take it away, Dan. Plug Discord.
Yeah, so Discord is basically Elite FPL's differential, to excuse the pun, in terms of FPL channels. So download the app, and then basically you can join in with the discussion. Even when there's a stream not on, it's very active in there. There's the hangout, and people.
Can I make this point as well? Because you're about to talk about this. Now, obviously, we would have to mention to all these individuals that they have to censor their language, but Tell us about the hangouts and the fact that I've always wanted to do a stream where we're just broadcasting the hangouts live. Do you want to tell us why the hangouts is so fun and popular?
Yeah, it's just because, like, I mean, to give an example, I went in there a couple of weekends ago about 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and all the regulars are there, and they're just talking about their teams, and it's just everybody, like, in the same position, excited for the game week, and all the banter goes in there, you know, people taking the mick out of other people's you know, just all good fun, all good natured stuff, and but also you get a lot of help in there as well, like when you're talking about your team, and people will just give you like a second opinion, which is great. And you know, we're all here and we all love playing the game of fantasy football, and it's like a great place to just chat and discuss it. I mean, obviously there's loads of online forums, but you can't really beat, you know, obviously you can't beat face to face, but Discord is the next best thing, and the fact that you can talk to each other, make new friends, join in with the community, obviously join in with the streams live on air. People can go on Discord and then come on and actually speak to you and Jason and give their opinions, and just vent as well. Like, you know, if Redmond hasn't got a hat trick tomorrow, I can come on and be like, oh, I thought he was going to get a double-digit haul, Steve-O, Jason, what's happened? So yeah, it's just all good fun, and the fact that it just makes it more interactive, and it's very immersive. Yeah,
we're getting some breaking news, specifically.
God.
It's a reliable source from friend of the show, Paul Lee, and I'd like to hear your reaction straight away. It is about Manchester City. Now, when I initially read this, I was going into panic mode, thinking, oh my God, what exactly specifically happened here? Thinking it was about from a selfish point of view, specifically from maybe about the game on Wednesday, but it's not. Paulie's saying that Manchester City have been banned from the Champions League for 2 seasons due to financial fair play. That's extraordinary. That is...
Really? There's us. Do you know what the mad thing is? Like, I've been digging out my old football magazines, and 442 other magazines available, and it was saying about the financial play, and that was a few years ago when it got introduced, and I just glimpsed over that and I thought, oh, well, that's not made any difference to anyone anyway. But it's ironic that he's brought that up, and I mean, what is the source of this news? Is that...
Well, I'm trying to check on Twitter now if it's the BBC, if it's Sky Sports. Nothing I've even got on Manchester City's thing here now. Like I said, Paulie is a very, very reliable source. It's the Guardian, is it? Right, okay, let's just find out on the Guardian. Let's just quickly find out, because I would be fascinated to see the specific source on this, because I'd like to bring it up on screen. But yeah, if I'm not suggesting that is, yeah. Let's just quickly open up this particular. This is quite incredible. How do you think that will if they are well, I'm assuming they'll appeal. Do you reckon they'll get an appeal, Dan? I'll be able to read it in a minute, but
yeah, probably. I mean, I still can't see this news, but oh, hello. Yeah, I've got it up here now. Yeah, I mean, it is literally breaking news.
Yeah. I'm going to bring it up on the screen here. And I'll quickly read the article as we're... here we are. So Manchester City have been banned from the Champions League for the next 2 seasons by UEFA and fined £25 million after they were found to have seriously misled European football's governing body and broken financial fair play rules. The severity of the ban from both of UEFA's elite club competitions and the scale of the fine reflects how seriously UEFA's financial fair play compliance bodies consider the club to have breached the rules and code of conduct. City were found guilty by UEFA's club financial control body of having falsely inflated their sponsorship revenues when they made submissions for the financial fair play compliance process. The guilty The guilty finding follows an investigation sparked by the publication of leaked emails and documents by the German magazine Der Spiegel in November 2018. The leaked emails and documents appeared to show that City owner Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed of the was mostly funding the huge £67 million annual sponsorship of the City shirt stadium and academy by the country airline. And so on and so forth. And I mean, I'm gonna see if there is more to follow. Yes, Dan?
I mean, what happens if Man City win the Champions League? They won't be able to defend their title if they were to win it this season. It's crazy. And also, obviously, people in the chat saying about Pep Guardiola as well. I mean, he kept saying about they've got to win the Champions League, maybe just to put the pressure on the players a bit and motivate them for this season to finish with silverware. But I mean, that's going to have... I mean, they can still offer great money, but it's going to have a big impact on their transfer dealings going forward.
I was going to say more the fact that will Man City potentially just dominate the Premier League for the next 2-3 seasons? I mean, this is...
Yeah, that's a bit of a almost depressing thought. I was just thinking about, like, since 2000, I think it's 2013, that they've kind of been dominating the league. I know Chelsea and Leicester have won it, but they've kind of been dominating in terms of Premier League title wins. And you could look at it that way, but top players want to play in the Champions League. So in terms of their recruitment, they're still going to be able to attract top players. But the top players want to play in the Champions League. So sure, it's going to have an effect at some point.
Someone's making a very, very good point here. What happens then to England's fourth UEFA Champions League spot? I mean, he doesn't say this, but I'll add to it. Will it go to, as it stands, fifth place Sheffield United? I mean, if United are banned, does it mean that it will go down to only 3 spots? Do they keep it open to fourth and then it's the fifth place team? I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah, it's all up for speculation. I mean, obviously they're going to appeal against this to UEFA and whatnot. And I suppose in theory, if Man City were banned, then the team in fifth, would get a spot. So I'm just thinking...
Yeah, didn't that, in all seriousness, I forget the ramifications. What was it regarding Tottenham and Chelsea those years ago? What was that all about again? Remind me.
Oh, yes, because of course Tottenham finished in the top 4 that season, but Chelsea got to the final against Bayern Munich and beat them on penalties. So I think Chelsea finished, if I'm correct in saying this, Chelsea finished outside the top 4, but they won the Champions League. So they qualified because obviously they were champions, and that meant Tottenham lost out. So for that day only, I was a Chelsea fan. So I do remember watching that game actually, and just finding it really funny. So but it's 4 spots obviously for the Champions League for the English teams. So in theory, that Man City are going to finish in the top 4, but that would go to the 5th team, wouldn't it? I would assume.
And I'm like we've already mentioned, the fact that if they can't appeal, that's it, done. I mean, Paul E straight away saying that Pep out.
I'm just, in all honesty, like I know this is going to sound ultra desperate, but I'm looking at it from an Arsenal. We're 8 points off Sheffield United with a game in hand. If we won that game, we would be 6 points behind Sheffield United. If it is the case that Man City are banned and the 5th place team, our season is back on basically. But then Tottenham fans would be saying that, Man United fans would be saying that, but then Sheffield United fans would be saying, look, it kind of, in a weird way, it kind of makes the Premier League season a little bit more interesting. If I'm being honest.
Thank you to Sultan Saeed. Man City have now actually released a a statement here, and unfortunately I haven't got Jason's technology, so I can't specifically bring it up on screen, but what I can do is read it off my phone, and the club statement is as follows once I can bring it up here. This is extraordinary. Mr. Reed, why aren't you watching Mark Goldbridge? But blimey. So City have released a statement, but I can't actually access it even on my phone. This is absolutely typical. It just takes you to a... Going on here. Maybe that's completely crashed. Sorry, football fans. The City site can't be accessed at this moment in time. Please try again later. Right. So I can't even access a club statement released by Man City. Absolutely extraordinary. But I'm sure that anybody that wants to follow this breaking news, I would highly recommend going to more credible sources. Because Mr. Reed made a jokey point that at the end of the day, this is the first time he'd seen this news on this particular stream. Would you believe?
Yeah, it's just crazy, really. But I'm just thinking about this Champions League place, but it's up for grabs now, as they say. Yeah, crazy news.
Mr. Reed, the problem with watching Goldbridge is that you won't get XFM references like I did earlier on. Rewind the stream, mate. Everybody, this has come as a bit of a out of the blue from nowhere. I'm not going to proclaim to... Well, I am. I'm no expert on this subject matter. I could probably... If this was some form of FPL news, I could probably go on for another 2 hours. Unfortunately, it's not. So I'm not going to continue chatting. Although, there is going to be breaking news regarding the Leicester team news. So what I could do, actually... I mean, Dan, if you're willing to stay on for just 18 more minutes, and we'll be able to break the Leicester team news, because somebody did mention in the stream earlier that there could be some interesting news regarding Leicester City. Can you guess what that could be?
Oh, something about Vardy?
Yeah, basically, yeah, apparently. But I did check the source, and they have said absolutely nothing regarding that whatsoever. So, to be honest with you, I think that the individual that broke that news, I think, was potentially speaking a load of junk, to be honest with you. Yes, Dan, go for it.
No, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to stay on await that news of the Leicester players. And if Vardy's not starting, then it's a bonus for me.
Well, it is an absolute bonus, and like you said, you're expecting it to be a high-scoring, entertaining game. It's funny when you do live streams and you've kind of got a basic structure to the basic show itself, and then all of a sudden, when you're going off air, you get some breaking news, and it's like, Christ Almighty, how do we react to this? And especially when it's a subject, like I said, that I'm not particularly an expert on, and I'd like to think that I'm not suggesting you're not quite an expert on this, but you wouldn't proclaim to be somebody that could talk all day on this particular news. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, I don't know the laws of it all, and it's just completely come out of the blue. And I don't know whether if they appeal, they'll be able to get it overturned because of, what the precedent set is. I mean, I know Chelsea had the transfer ban, didn't they? But it's not stopped them. They still got Pulisic at that point, even though he came later on in the season. So there's always... I'm just cynical about it. There always seems to be a way around it. Like I said, this was all announced a few years ago, and I don't know. I just got a feeling Man City will wrangle their way out of it somehow. But if they don't, then it's just gonna be them focusing on the Premier League and certain players that they might be linked with. They might be put off because they'll be thinking, well, career's short. You want to be playing in the top league, and they'll go to one of their rivals.
So I've got the Man City statement here. Manchester City is disappointed but not surprised by today's announcement. Straight away, I'm quite shocked by that opening sentence there. We're not surprised. So evidently they knew they were doing something wrong.
That is quite telling. Because when they brought this financial fair play in, I think that was, like big spenders like PSG getting, what was it, Mbappe on loan, Monaco for crazy deals, buying Neymar, and Man City spending lots of money. And the idea was to kind of curtail that and make it a more even level playing field. So, yeah, I think maybe that statement is quite telling, really.
Absolutely. So if I just continue, the club has always anticipated the ultimate need to seek out an independent body and process to impartially consider the comprehensive body of irrefutable evidence in support of this position. In December 2018, the UEFA chief investigator publicly previewed the outcome and sanction he intended to be delivered to Man City before any investigation had even begun. Simply put, this is a case initiated by UEFA, prosecuted by UEFA, and judged by UEFA. With this prejudicial process now over, the club will pursue an impartial judgment as quickly as possible and will therefore, in first instance, commence proceedings with the Court of Arbitration for Sport at the earliest. So I'm assuming they are going to appeal then, based on that.
They will 100%. They will appeal. They'd be stupid not to. And I mean, look, we're all speculating at the moment. We'll just have to see whether it gets overturned, or if it doesn't, what they'll do then. But I think it'll be interesting if it doesn't get overturned. I don't think Guardiola will be there next season.
I mean, Paulie made a point about the fact that it looks like Pep out, and we all actually thought that if Pep didn't win or Man City didn't win the Champions League this season, that Pep would be gone. But now you do think that's the nail in the coffin. He's going to clear off back to Bayern Munich, maybe even back to Barcelona or whatever.
Yeah, he could do. I mean, maybe he'll want to take a challenge for once. I'm not discrediting his management record, but
Talkie.
I don't know. He might be able to sell it to him somehow. Say it's the English Riviera, some better weather. But I think maybe just look at a team that's coming up, and it's a bit late for Arsenal now.
But, I mean, Gravy Dave makes the point. Maybe going to Juventus.
Yeah, maybe Juventus. Yeah, obviously they're a massive team, and he's not. He hasn't managed in Italy before, has he? Correct me if I'm wrong. No, yeah, he hasn't managed in Italy. So for some reason I was thinking of Enrique then for some reason, but maybe Juventus would be a big one. I mean, Inter Milan, as I said before, they're sort of doing quite well this season, and Juventus have got some big players, and he just seems to like working at the big teams, like Bayern Munich, Barcelona, obviously Man City, and then a new challenge and a new environment. So could see that happening, yeah.
Kevin Meyer saying that they will probably appeal and they'll probably cut it to a 1-year ban. I don't know. We're not going to sit here and start looking at what could or couldn't happen, but Gravy Dave, Phil Foden in the side next year. He's a player, isn't he, Dan? I'm surprised that hasn't been given as many opportunities as I'd like to see. Phil Foden.
Yeah, he's done quite well when he's sort of come in, particularly for the cup competitions, and got the winner against Spurs last season when he did come in, and he gets in those attacking positions, and going back to the England team, hopefully he can do well for Man City and be that creative hub for England in the future. So yeah, maybe it's a bit of a sort of silly comparison, but with Chelsea given like Mason Mount, Abraham chances, maybe some of those up and coming young players will get a chance. And David Silva's going to be obviously leaving Man City as well, so possibly will get a chance, and maybe one to consider for your team for next season.
Yeah, I mean, straight away, Simeon Batchelor making the point that players like Kevin De Bruyne will probably be gone. Aguero will probably be going. Ederson, Jesus, Laporte. Sane, of course, somebody that's been pushing for a move. But you also mentioned Sterling. Sterling, of course, a player this year, which I do... Once again, I keep going on about this. A player who I believe that Pep is putting pressure on to score goals, and it seems to be getting to him. The fact that he's just missing so many gilt-edged chances. How do you think it's potentially going to affect Sterling?
Yeah, he's not been having the best of seasons, and he has been looking quite frustrated, particularly in month. Yeah, but at the end of the day, Man City are going to want to hang on to him, one of their top players. But as I said before, top players want to play in the Champions League. And what is interesting recently is a lot of players from the English League have gone to Italy. Lukaku, Sanchez, Ashley Young, Victor Moses, Christian Eriksen, all seems to be into Man. But obviously, of course, Mkhitaryan and Chris Smalling going to Roma. Seems to be a lot of Premier League players going out to the Italian League all of a sudden. Obviously, Kieran Trippier going to Atletico Madrid as well, kind of really out of the blue. So maybe some of these players will consider a move abroad, which would be quite interesting. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus. So, but yeah, from a Man City point of view, they want to hold on to him. And maybe, who knows, maybe with a different manager, might have a different style of management, and it might... I don't know. When I'm saying this, I mean, Pep Guardiola has really developed Sterling, but maybe Sterling will think, do you know what? I want to go to a real team, and he'll think, I want to go to the Arsenal, and he'll be at Arsenal next season and we'll start challenging again. But I think that ginger tea's gone to my head. Sorry.
We've got a Godwin here. We've got two Godwins. I mean, that's not a very common name, but two Godwins here. Godwin Affer making the point that the Champions League race is now going to be very interesting. So let's just say we assume that Man City, now they've been banned, it goes through, which we assume it will be going through, whether they get it as a 1-year ban or stays at 2 years, it doesn't matter, they're still banned for next season. They've gone, and it does open 4th place up. Godwin making the point, imagine if Spurs, United and Arsenal fail to take advantage of this, and it ends up being someone like Sheffield United or Wolves. How would that make you feel? Because obviously, there have been times, it's a bit like when Leicester won the Premier League. It was Tottenham's opportunity to maybe take advantage, but they failed. What about now, Dan? You've already mentioned the fact that Arsenal, you're 8 points off 4th spot. Would you really do think that would be a huge fail if you don't take it, or do you think that? I
don't think we deserve it, really. Sheffield United deserves it more. I mean, it's funny you mentioned about that Leicester City title when we were right up there in the title race. We bottled it the last few months. Even though we beat Leicester, we just capitulated after that. I just think it's quite an inconsistent league, and I think like a team like Wolves or Sheffield United, I think they deserve it, really, because they're more like a team and done so well this season. And it just reminds me of last season when we missed out on the Champions League, and we were kind of tripping over ourselves in those last 10 games, losing at home to Palace and smashed by Wolves, smashed by Leicester. So yeah, but it could happen.
Well,
but maybe
another name to throw in the hat, and Luke Jones making a point here. What about Everton? Out of the blue, they've, excuse the pun, but out of the blue, they've slowly climbed the table. And apparently Carlo Ancelotti has changed everything. They seem to be a bit more of a fluid playing team, a lot more of an attacking team. I believe they're the highest scoring team behind Man City and Liverpool. What about Everton?
Well, I mean, Ancelotti's been there, seen it, done it, got the kitchen sink, and done everything. And they're only, what was it, 3 points off Sheffield United. They won the same amount of games, inferior goal difference, but 3 points off them, and they could do it. I mean, they're playing well recently. You know, they're sort of Richarlison coming into form. Even Walcott coming into form, to be fair. You know, got an assist in the last game week, got a goal away to Watford, the winner.
Talking of Everton,
Calvert-Lewin as well.
Talking of Everton and linking it back into FPL, Richarlison, is he somebody that we should be looking at? Because from my point of view, the answer is yes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Mahrez is like kind of in that price bracket, and the way he's been playing recently is definitely one to consider. But as I say with like FPL assets, you always have a history with them. And my history with Richarlison isn't very nice in the sense that when I bought him in last season, he returned, but when I captained him, he did nothing. And sometimes you get kind of scarred by that and you think, oh, if I bring him in again, that's going to happen again. So yeah, you know, it could be, I think it's a good move. I mean, even I could, looking at it, see what Mahrez does this week against West Ham. If he does nothing, they could just take him out, get Richarlison.
This breaking news, of course, some people are saying that how will this affect the morale versus West Ham? And others, like James here, will, like we've already mentioned, maybe getting fifth. But could this actually make tonight's game even more important for Wolves to win? Because now they know that City are banned. Could this mean that they really go for it and try and cement that fifth spot ahead of Sheffield United?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of other teams in and around the top four are going to be thinking, well, it's kind of like a second chance. I mean, based on this news, they're going to be thinking, well, there's another spot up for grabs. Obviously, this has all got to be confirmed by UEFA and everything. It's all sort of hypothetical at the moment, but you would imagine that's how it will work out.
Well, I mean, let's be honest here, Dan. That club's statement isn't exactly the most positive thing I've ever seen. We're not surprised by today's announcement. I think that's a shocking admission of guilt there. It's like, I mean, not to take it down a grim path, but it's like somebody that's committed a crime and they've gotten away with it for so many years, but the evidence has all been laid there, and then eventually the cops catch up and it's like, yeah, I'm not surprised you caught me. Hold my hands up, I'm gone. I'm going to go to prison. I just find it incredible statement.
Well, it is a crime, isn't it, really? They're kind of breaking the rules, and with that statement, it's kind of an admission of guilt. And looking at it like that, you would imagine that going to be Man City out of the Champions League and another spot for grabs. So plenty of teams can now. As I said, it makes the Premier League season more interesting. It was only a good thing, but obviously, if you're not if you're a Man City fan.
That's true. And look at teams like Leicester tonight. You know, a team like Leicester. I mean, I've got a friend of mine at work, Ali. Hello, Ali. I doubt you're watching, but you never know. He's very good at predicting games and everything, and he thinks that Leicester are actually not going to lose. He thinks it'll be a tight game, 1-1 or 2, if Leicester do win 2-1 to Leicester, because he thinks that to get that second spot ahead of Man City will be the impetus they need to catch, because Rodgers is the kind of manager that will be like, no, we've got this opportunity here to go second tonight. Let's grab the ball by the horns.
Yeah, definitely. As I said, Leicester and Wolves, you know, they're not far away from each other in the table, and I think it will be a close game. And are we any closer to getting this?
We're a minute away, Dan. We're a minute away. Keep on chatting. Wait.
As I have to correct myself actually, because I'm talking in terms of quality. As I say, I think Leicester and Wolves are quite similar and quite a similar style of play. Actually, Leicester are actually 14 points ahead of Wolves, but I just in terms of like the styles of play, they're kind of similar, and that's why I think it will be, you know, an even game. And but yeah, I mean, Leicester from the start of the season, no one was really tipping them for the top 4. And yeah, they're doing really well. And they're only 2 points off second place. Obviously, same games played as Man City. They've had a great season. Obviously, they've lost 6 games. They won 15, drew 4. Third best goal difference league. And if they were to get in the top 4, it would be an amazing achievement, really.
Do you agree with this statement that Dilligaff has just mentioned, that it's nice to see UEFA stamping their foot on the ground? Chelsea last year, City this year. Does that make you happy?
Yeah, it does, because I think a lot of people nowadays are a bit disillusioned with football at the highest level, because I've got a friend of mine who just all he cares about is lower league football and international football, because he can't stand the fact that it's just all about the money and, like these sort of basically these nations owning clubs, let's be honest. And it kind of takes the fun out of it, really. And I always argue, people say, oh, no, the international break's coming. But at least with that, it's like kind of like the best of one country against another. It's not about, obviously facilities and stuff goes into it, but it's more of an equal footing. Whereas it does feel like when PSG can sign Neymar and Mbappe in one transfer window, that it just kind of doesn't feel fair. So, yeah, I think it is a good thing, really.
We have the breaking news, the team news. Leicester, it's as you'd expect. Schmeichel in goal. Essentially, it's the same team that played the last time. Who did Leicester play last time? It doesn't matter. But the point being is that everybody plays apart from Chowdhury comes in for Ndidi. So it's Schmeichel in goal. Pereira, Evans, Soyuncu, Chilwell, Chowdhury, Tielemans, Maddison, Perez, Barnes, and Vardy. Vardy does actually start. And if we look at the Wolves team news, let's just quickly bring it up. I'm assuming it is as exactly as we expect. I'm assuming Patrizio in goal. And there we have it. Let's just quickly bring it up on screen right now. It is Patrizio in goal. They're going with a 3-4-3 formation. And Dendonker's back in midfield, Dan. So Bowley, Cody, Sace, Doherty and J. Otto, Neves, Dendonker, and then Neto, Jimenez and Diego Jota up front. So, as expected with the Wolves team, there's no shocks there whatsoever. And I'm just glad that Bowley does start, but I'm not expecting a clean sheet. So there we have it, everybody. Incredibly, we've gone on for an extra 25 minutes than we're even expecting. Really do appreciate Dan sticking around discussing this breaking news that Man City have been banned from the Champions League for 2 seasons. That's right, 2 seasons. Absolutely extraordinary news. And the club statement is quite surprising, really. Just this opening. Yes, Dan?
I mean, just in the chat, Daily Llama and a few others have mentioned about Traore being benched. I suppose that's a bit of a shock. It's a bit of a bonus to me, because one of my rivals has got Traore. So I'm quite happy about that.
I've not even thought about that. Oh, that's good. But then again, he got those... didn't he dislocate his shoulder or something versus United?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's not good, is it, really? But, I mean, from my point of view, it's good because the team 2 places above me has got him. So, yeah. But he's a hench guy. I mean, he'll probably just get on with it.
Yeah.
He's on the bench, apparently.
Say it again. He's on the bench.
Yeah, he's on the bench. Yeah. Ace Adventura. Ventura fan.
So
he's saying he's on the bench.
Just that breaking news that Traore doesn't start didn't even cross my mind. But like I said, Manchester City is disappointed but not surprised by today's announcement, which I find absolutely shocking. Anyhow, everybody, we're not going to do any more admin because we've spoken too long now. So
did the admin about an hour ago?
Yeah, we did that about an hour ago. The admin, and I'm sure people like John Harris will love the fact that we went on for an extra 25-30 minutes longer than actually expected. And Dan, just want to say thanks for joining us.
No, yeah, thanks for having me on. Like, comment, share, subscribe, tell people about the channel, and hope everyone enjoys the football and has a good game week. Apart from my rivals, probably nobody.
Yeah, cheers everybody for joining us this evening. It was myself and Dan just quickly previewing the upcoming fixtures over the weekend, and of course next week, Monday and Wednesday. Other than that, cheers everybody, and stay tuned on Twitter to clarify what's going on regarding the next live streams. But what I can guarantee you now is that myself and Jason will be covering the Norwich versus Liverpool game. See you later, guys, and see you all tomorrow evening.